This may be the last sunset I'll see, so I'll take it in.
I'm not really fond of pop culture or anything like that anymore, because I used to be very in tune with pop culture when I was in high school. But now that I'm 21 years old, I can only focus on college. And so it would come as a surprise even to myself that this story impacted me in such a way. The story that I'm talking about is a Justin Bieber story. I used to not be like one of those like crazy obsessed Justin Bieber fans, but I'm gonna tell you something, I probably was like one of those low-key super fans. I didn't want to be like all of the, you know, the girls into him that were in my high school. They would go to his concerts wherever he was at, and I had a friend even that my birthday is not that far from his, and so I don't know how it happened, but she made cupcakes and she was just like, here, you can have some of my JB cupcakes for your birthday. And I said, what? Like, I'm your friend, he's not here. And that's just like, I didn't want to be like that, so it didn't really matter. I've always been like, oh, you know, don't talk about Justin Bieber. But not that long ago, the beginning of the week, my mom was just like, it's not like you care or anything like that. That's how she started it. She's not, I don't think you care or anything like that. But Justin Bieber gave up his tour to rededicate his life to Jesus. And I said, well, you know, I acted nonchalant. But then later on, I'm like, yo, like thinking to myself, I'm like, yo, that's amazing. That's totally amazing. And a lot of people, I'm assuming, are angry and upset because they paid for their tickets to go see him and stuff like that, and he dropped it all. And some people, especially those that don't understand what it is to rededicate their lives to Jesus, they would probably get really frustrated and angry at Justin Bieber's decisions. But not me. I'm not even a fan, but I just became a fan. Being a leader as I am, I tend to avoid pop culture. I tend to avoid my stating my opinion out there, because I don't want anyone to feel offended. I want to be neutral in the sense of that stuff. But when I'm talking about God stuff and I know that things are good, I don't mind. I don't care to just state my opinion. And so I was out there doing that, and I made a post on one of our accounts. So I posted about him, and I'm like, man, because this was definitely something that was put in my heart. And it's just like, at one point in our lives, we've been Justin Bieber, or we're actually called to be Justin Bieber, where it's just like God wants us to leave those things, leave something, whatever it is, to rededicate ourselves to Jesus. And I'll explain. It's because in our lives, we need to always, constantly be rededicating ourselves to Jesus. And if you find yourself with something, anything that it is, a person, a thing, an obsession, a vice, whatever it is, if it goes before God, and if it in your life, if it's supposed to be that thing and God, that thing needs to go. It needs to go. In Mark 9:43 to 50, it just talks straight up about how to handle the things that make you stumble. And the things that make you stumble are the things that keep you away from God, whether it's sin, fighting, unforgiveness. It's just like, if any of that stuff keeps you distant from God, you need to get rid of it. I think what's an amazing message from his situation, from his canceling his tour, is the fact that a lot of people are disappointed, and a lot of people don't understand what's going on, and a lot of people won't understand why you've let things go out of your life to rededicate yourself to Jesus. Some people don't know why you even have to cancel something out to be with Jesus. A lot of people tend to avoid coming to Christ, becoming Christian, because they feel like that's it. That's the death of them, the death of their happy days, the death of their joy, the death of the partying. And so it's a lot of like conversation about why. No one knows, why do I have to stop being myself when I come to Christ? When you come to Christ, you're following him and the way he was. So it's just like, if he didn't do that, you're not expected to do that. But that comes on your time. It's your timing, and you know, God's timing naturally, but it's up to you to say, yes, I'll follow along with what you have to say. I'm gonna help anybody else, anybody out there that just doesn't understand why we leave things to follow Jesus. The Bible definitely gives us a clear-cut understanding of why we should do those things. As I mentioned before, Mark tells us that if those things, whatever it is, if it's your hand, if it's your leg, if it's your eye, that are keeping you, if those things are keeping you from God, you need to cut them off. Meaning, you need to stop letting them control you. You need to stop putting them before God. Obviously, it doesn't literally mean your hand. When I think hand, I think of small things. Like, let's say it's a white lie. Like, if I'm always lying and I always say to myself, well, I'm not a murderer and I'm not a thief, but I lie. God sees it all the same. So God tells you, if you think that your lie will keep you from coming to see me in heaven, then you need to cut it off. And it will. And so cut it off, because it's better for you to no longer lie for the rest of your life and come to heaven than to go to hell lying with the rest of your body that's not murderous, that's not, treacherous, adulterous, all of those isses. And so your leg, I feel like that also goes back to like movement, to our path. If your path isn't leading you to the right places, like if you're trying to be ambitious and only seeking money, but you don't care about God in the process. Talk about in myself, in my life, if my path, if my career only leads me to find glory for myself, then I need to cut that off. And I know that you're hearing this and you're just like, wait, what? Aren't you supposed to do good for yourself? Yes, you're supposed to do good for yourself. But remember, all of this is temporary. There's a life after this, that if we don't set it up for ourselves, if we don't cut things off, certain things off right now, we won't inherit when we go up in heaven. It's about making your choices, not just for here, but for up there. To cut things off, to change things up, for the sake of your soul, is the best thing you could do for yourself. It shows just how much God loves you. I know that at the time you're just like, man, God, like I really wanted this. But it's because God loves you that he stops you in your tracks and he tells you, listen, this is what you need. Like, you need to rededicate yourself to me. And it's no more of this, going out partying and having concerts that don't really glorify. For me, that was an eye-opening moment too, because I used to do things that I didn't think that were bad because, I wasn't sinning in my mind. But it's not even about sinning. It's about putting things before God, which is a sin. So there you go. If we don't focus on God and we just follow along with the crowd of Christians, because that's what I was doing. I wasn't reading the word. I wasn't praying. I was just doing whatever my Christian friends were doing. And if they were listening to certain things, I was listening to them. And if they were doing certain things, I was doing that. And if they were missing church one Sunday, I was missing church one Sunday. It didn't matter to me, because it wasn't horrible. But it's just like everything is individual. So if you find yourself in a situation where you want to find yourself closer to God, analyze that. Analyze, maybe, what am I doing wrong? What am I putting before God that is keeping me far from him? Many things can keep you away from him, because God doesn't coexist in places where he is not welcome, number one, and where sin lies. Congrats, JB. I support you. I'll make sure that the people that I can reach pray for you, and I'm praying for you, and we love you a lot, and we love everybody here. Bye.
That's why I got a problem with following you. You keep looking at me like this problem is new, but we've been here before. What you trying to do? Don't talk to